Welcome to Janome's Tips and Tricks videos. Today I'm going to show you how to save your favorite stitch. Janome's favorite stitch function is a great way of customizing your machine to fit the way you like to sew. So let's say I love piecing. I'm a big quilter and I really love piecing, and we're all searching for that perfect 1/4 inch, but we all sew a little bit differently. So this machine has our default settings for the needle position and the stitch length, but let's say I like it a little bit different. I can customize my machine so that every time I turn my machine on and go to the stitch that I like to go to, say my 1/4 inch, it's gonna automatically be at the settings that I prefer. The first thing you have to do on favorite stitch is turn your favorite stitch function on. Now, once you turn it on the first time, you don't have to turn it on again. It's just the first time. So when you first buy your machine, or if you haven't already turned it on, you're gonna have to first turn it on, and all you have to do is touch your set button, which is right here at the bottom. Now, this is the Janome 15,000, which is a sewing and embroidery machine. If you just have a sewing machine, like the 94 or the 9450, that also has a screen similar to this, you're not gonna have to select the sewing side. But since this is a combo machine, I'm gonna have to select my sewing side. And now I'm gonna have to turn down to the bottom. So on here, my arrows are telling me to go down. I'm gonna keep turning the page until I see favorite stitch, which is right there. So all I have to do is turn that on, and then I just have to select OK, and then now my favorite stitch function is turned on. So I want to save my favorite 1/4 inch because we all are searching for that perfect 1/4 inch, and I know the way I particularly sew, I sew a little heavy to the right, so I want to get a perfect scant 1/4 inch. So what I'm going to do is go to my decorative stitches, which is that icon right there. I'm going to select quilt, and I'm also going to go to my 1/4 inch stitch. And the reason I know that is because it has 1-4 and then also has a P, which stands for piecing, which means I'm going to have a shorter stitch length, which, as you can see down here, it says 1.8. On my scant 1/4 inch, I want it to be a tiny bit longer. So I want a little bit larger of a stitch length. I also want less of a seam allowance. So I want to move my needle over to, let's say, 8.6, and that's going to give me a little bit more of a scant 1/4 inch than my traditional 1/4 inch. So that is the way I like to sew my 1/4 inch seams. So instead of having to change that setting every single time, all I have to do is I'm going to press this arrow button, which means there is a window that I have to open, and now I'm going to save that. So I'm going to hit this right here, which means saving. So I'm going to hit my favorite stitch function there. And as you can see, my two icons, or my two needle positions that I have saved, have turned yellow and they're no longer white. So that means they've been edited from their original default settings. So now I can close that window, and every time I come back to that same stitch, as you can see, it's saved my favorite stitch and the settings that I like to sew my 1/4 inch. But let's say I want to go back to its default because I want to go back to that original function. All I have to do is select my DFT, which stands for default, and now it's going to go back to its original factory settings. So not only can you save your favorite 1/4 inch just the way you like it, but you can do it to any of the other decorative stitches that are built into the machine. So I can change it and have it the way I like it when I want it.